Ctv3 News. Millennium Challenge Account Belize Authority Bill 2024 introduced in Parliament, but it does not go without debate. The opposition questions why they do not form part of the board. MSME Roadshow makes it to Corozal. More than 50 entrepreneurs take part in the boot camp. And Belize to assist Caribbean nations affected by Hurricane Beryl. These are some of the stories we have for you tonight in our newscast for Thursday, July 11th, 2024.
Is split between Greens aligned with Alicent and Eganite section and Blacks who support Rainera in claiming the Iron Throne.
War is coming. And neither of us may win.
Pledge your allegiance. Watch House of Dragons Season 2 on Max.
Good evening. With your news also simulcast on Fiesta FM 106.7, I am Joanna Rodriguez. There was a special sitting of the House of Representatives today. But before parliamentarians proceeded to the reading of the bills, a privilege motion was raised by the leader of the opposition, Honorable Shine Barrow. Once a privilege motion is filed in the House, it supersedes the current matters and is to be dealt with immediately. In this occasion, the privilege motion was in relation to the last House sitting on June 28, where the opposition boycotted the meeting, citing inadequate notice prior to the official sitting. In this case, since the motion was against the Speaker of the House, it was required for her to vacate her seat until the matter is resolved.
As per Standing Order 29 on privilege motion, it is my indicate to the House that we have received a privilege motion from the member from Mesopotamia, leader of opposition. I direct you to Standing Order 29.2, a member who wishes to raise a matter which he believes affects the privilege of the House shall do so as soon as possible after the matter comes to his attention. Such member shall inform the Speaker of his wish, stating the facts to which he wishes to draw attention at least 1 hour before the commencement of the sitting at which he wishes to raise the matter. When a member is called by the Speaker to raise the matter of privilege, he shall briefly state the facts to which he wishes to draw the attention of the House and the grounds on which he believes that those facts affect the privileges of the House. The matter before us is a privilege motion which involves this chair, and therefore I will need to recuse myself and invite the Deputy Speaker to oversee the proceedings. Members should be aware as well that privilege motion trumps the orders of the day and must be dealt with first.
With the Deputy Speaker, Marconi Layal Sr. at the helm of the sitting, the leader of the opposition, Moses Barrow, was allowed to present his privilege motion.
Since the beginning of this term of Parliament, myself and others have been using Standing Order 19.3 to present questions to the Honourable Ministers. Thus, a deviation from the established protocol by the Honourable Speaker, Madam Speaker, it totally imperils the opposition's ability to use the limited tools to hold this government to account, to ask the questions that our constituents want answered, Mr. Speaker. Thus, giving us a few days' notice that falls below the 5 clear business days required for a question to minister is a serious matter, Mr. Speaker. The opposition boycotted the last sitting of the House because of this. We wrote as a parliamentary caucus to the Honorable Speaker. She accepted that she in fact did deviate from her established protocol, and while that in itself was no violation of the standing order, the privileges that we have under Standing Order 19.3, Mr. Speaker, has been violated. So I want to ask my colleagues, I am not here to quarrel, I am not here to be churlish to Madam Speaker. We have had a reset, and I stand by that reset. I am here to... Why can't we? I'm pleading with you to amend the standing orders as we've done in this term. We amended the standing orders to allow for Women's Parliamentary Caucus. We commend that and we respect that. But if the Speaker herself, in her response, is saying that these are some of the irregularities that we have in the standing orders, and that is why we need to revise the standing orders, why can't we come together and amend that standing order to provide that no regular sitting of the House will be conducted without the 5 clear business days? So I am...
Before the Speaker read his decision on the privilege matter, Prime Minister John Briceño stood to offer comments on the issue, citing that what occurred at the last House sitting was an oversight and not a deliberate attempt against the opposition.
So the reason why is simply because we need to pass legislation, and as you are aware, Leader of the Opposition, by the end of this month, all of this here is going to be removed and demolished because we're going to refurbish and rebuild this part. But the George Price Center, where we're going to be having meetings, will not be ready until September. So we have to have a meeting now. So that's the only reason. It's not a matter that we're abusing. The only other time that this has happened was the last House meeting. And again, I'm sure that our both good friends, the Cabinet Secretary, reached out to you to explain to you what happened. It's a simple human error. There was no ill intent or trying to pull something on you. It was a human error why you were not given enough notice. So, Mr. Speaker, there's no ill intent in government in this part of here. We have constantly, I think this is the government that has respected the opposition more than any other government, including the previous PUP's government. We tried to work with you, but sometimes this is going to happen, and it's not being done with any ill intentions, Mr. Speaker. So thank you very much.
After hearing from the Leader of the Opposition, however, the Speaker moved to deny the motion.
It is in my considered view, after listening to you, that the privileges of the members have not been affected. Honorable Member and members of the House, you should be reminded that at the last sitting of the House on the 20th of June, the Honorable Member and Leader of the Opposition had lodged the day prior a letter of protest to the Speaker, which is in essence the content of his privilege motion today. At that House meeting on the 20th June, the Honorable Speaker placed on record her official response. That response reads, "As you have indicated, indeed since being in the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives, I have worked with the Clerk Office and that of the Cabinet Secretary and the Executive to improve on notification. While there is no notice period subscribed or specified in the standing orders for notification of regular House meetings, the office has improved on the practice of at least 1 week before the date of the meeting. This has been done in an effort to allow standing orders 19.3 on notice of questions to be applied as often as possible.
At today's special sitting of the House of Representatives, the Millennium Challenge Account Belize Authority Bill 2024 was introduced. The bill seeks to establish the Millennium Challenge Account Belize Authority with the objective to implement 2 projects which are aimed at reducing poverty and promoting sustainable economic growth in Belize. This follows from the approval in June by the Millennium Challenge Corporation Board of Directors of a 5-year, $125 million grant investment in energy and education in Belize.
Noting the persistently high poverty levels up to 2020, which was as high as 52%, as well as Belize's economic and climate vulnerabilities, and while recognizing the efforts of this People's United Party administration with its actions and policies of good governance, public investment in its people, and support for private sector investment, the MCC in December 2021, 13 months later, after we got elected in government, selected Belize as eligible for an MCC compact. This is a commitment for support from MCC to reduce poverty by materially addressing binding constraints on Belize's economic growth. Upon completion of MCC's constraints analysis, our government prioritized the following 2 areas for program development. 1, the low quality of education leading to a shortage of trained professionals in all industries. And 2, high cost of electricity driving up input costs for all industries. 2 weeks ago, Madam Speaker, the MCC board approved $250 million Belize dollars grant investment. Free money, $250 million, almost 25% more. This is in addition to the compact development grant funding of $20 million, which is already being disbursed over the past 2.5, 3 years as we were preparing to get this compact ready.
According to Prime Minister and Minister of Finance John Briceño, the $250 million compact funding will be disbursed over a period of 5 years. 80% of the funds will be invested in education and 20% in the area of energy.
The objective of the education project is to equitably increase the number of post-primary graduates with the competencies relevant to labor market demands, responding to the root cause of the low quality of education that has led to a shortage of trained professionals in all industries. The project includes establishing an educational quality assurance system to assess and improve the quality of management and teaching, as well as the achievement of learning outcomes. B, capacity building for educational leadership and teachers. C, the provision of teaching and learning resources. D, support to increase the percentage of primary graduates that enroll in and complete secondary school. And E, support for the establishment of a national training agency and capacity building of the TVET sector to implement inclusive TVET programs that are aligned to labor market demands.
In the area of energy, the objective is to lower the wholesale cost of electricity.
The project will support the government to implement its utility-scale renewable energy expansion plans in order to accommodate the viable an intermittent supply of power from solar energy without compromising reliability and or power quality. The activity will also support BELs and PUC to modernize the grid. It's important to point out here, Madam Speaker, that we're hoping that they will be partnering with us in a project for the battery bank that we want to build with funds from the World Bank, and then they are going to help us to try to finance a portion of it. I think it's 40 megawatts that would allow us to be able to get electricity, the solar at day, store it in batteries, and then put it in the grid at night when the rates tend to go up in Mexico. That way we could be able to try to see how we could continue to reduce the cost of electricity and also reduce the dependence on our neighbors from Mexico.
The aim today was for the bill to go through its 3 readings, since by the time the compact agreement is ready to be signed in September, the Millennium Challenge account believes authority must already be in place for the monies to be disbursed. The board says the Prime Minister will serve as the implementing agency for and on behalf of the government projects.
Given that the authority's focus will be on the education and energy projects, and while it is a government authority, we have reached agreement with MCC that the board of the authority will not only include government representatives. We reached out to them and said we don't want only the government, we want others to participate. It will also include representatives that are relevant to the projects. We are pleased to say that the Belize National Teachers Union, representing teachers in education, along with the Belize Chamber of Commerce, representing the private sector, will have representation on the board. Given that the bulk of funding will be directed towards education, we have also provided for a representative from civil society relevant to education, as well as a non-voting member representative from academic and educational organizations.
While the Prime Minister was hoping for a unanimous support from the bill, it did not go without debate, as the leader of the opposition, Shine Barrow, stood up to object the composition of the board.
You look at the composition of the board, Madam Speaker, there is absolutely no seat on the board for the opposition. This, Madam Speaker, is an affront to continuity. It is an affront to transparency. It is an affront to good governance, Madam Speaker. The inclusion of the opposition, the top stakeholder of all the stakeholders, has to be the opposition, Madam Speaker. The point I'm making, governments do change, and for the continuity, for the seamless transition so that there is no disruption, it is important to include the opposition on all the boards, but certainly a MCC board that is not a political entity, Madam Speaker. That is a gift from the United States of America that we profusely appreciate, Madam Speaker, for the people of Belize, but let's include all the stakeholders. I heard the learned Prime Minister say that $20 million has been spent leading up to the formation of this entity, Madam Speaker. We have had no disclosure of how that money has been spent, and I cast no aspersions, Madam Speaker. I impute no improper motives. All I am saying is, for the benefit of transparency, which this government passed a motion in the first year of their administration, the good governance requires consultation, Madam Speaker. We know nothing of the $20 million that was spent. We know nothing of the plans of implementation for this $250 million, Madam Speaker, and that's a lot of money. We want to make sure that there is no partisanship in this.
Talked about 20 million, not knowing. Well, remember the compact was signed in June of, formalized in June of June 26, sorry. So those monies were what the MC had nothing to do with the government of Belize. The government of Belize received no. It had to do with them putting together their team and formalizing their network of people. They employed a few people. So over the past 2.5 or so years, that's what they've been doing, and they've used those monies for that purpose in terms of consultants, and it's a necessary cost with these things. We don't always like it, but so those monies they can fully justify and explain. They have to, of course, they have to report these things even to the Congress in the United States. So there's no question about how the monies will be spent, because ultimately the MCC comes under the Congress. So everything has to be reported back to them.
In regard to the board, the MCC required that it be formed by individuals with experience in both projects, says Minister of Foreign Affairs, Foreign Trade, Education, Culture, Science and Technology, Francis Fonseca.
These are public funds, the U.S. public taxpayers' monies they are spending, investing in countries. So they have to account for it. And so obviously we have to account for when we get funds, we have to account for it. But that hasn't started yet. And then the issue of the board, I just want to make the point that, it's always good to have bipartisan support, and as much as possible to have everybody around the table. It's good, it's interesting, but there's nothing quite like being in opposition that allows you to fully appreciate and recognize and respect and acknowledge the importance of the opposition. That's the reality. But I would make the point, Mr. Leader, that the MCC has an established structure that they have used over many, many years. Obviously, we discussed with them, looking at that structure, and that's why we've insisted on having other people represented in terms of civil society, private sector, and then they'll have two projects, right? So you have an education project, you have an energy project, and certainly in terms of the education project, and we want to ensure that we have representation there from organizations that are involved in education, like ATLIB and BAPS and maybe GAMAS, those organizations. We already have BNTU, of course. So that's the objective. So I do not believe, it is my view, that we really should go down the road of having political parties, so to speak, represented. The opposition, I don't think it's necessary.
Coming up next, MSME Roadshow sees mass participation in Corozal. Stay tuned.
On July 26th, the world's eyes turned to Paris to watch the 2024 Olympic Games. Get ready to cheer on your nation. Experience the biggest moments wherever you are on Express Plus app. Sign up today.
The government of Belize successfully launched its MSME Roadshow in Orange Walk back in the month of June. After the launch, the roadshow, which is the brainchild of the Office of the Prime Minister, made its stop in Punta Gorda, and today it found itself in Corozal. There, the team of Beltrade unloaded a mass of information offering micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, an opportunity to access special training on business development and support from Beltrade. Day one of the three-day event saw some 50 MSMEs participating in a boot camp delivering business development trainings in business models, marketing, customer service, goal setting, and money management. Dr. Leroy Almandares, Executive Director of Bell Trade, provided a broad overview of the initiative.
The purpose of the roadshow is a focus on micro, small, medium enterprise development. And so what we're doing is to see, for example, or to find out what are some of the needs that MSMEs may have. The government has put in quite a number of, put in new legislation, new policies, new strategies. But are all MSMEs aware of this? We are now in Corozal. So on the first day, for example, because another thing with these enterprises, many times they don't understand that, or might not really fully understand that they're a business. And if you're a business, then it means you must know how to price your products. You must know what markets to go into. And so on that first day, we're talking about the business models, understanding how you price your product, because too often we don't factor in all the cost. On the second day, it's about formalization. A lot of the enterprises can benefit even more from these incentives that the government has put in place. If you're formalized, meaning you have registered, and when you're registered, you get a tax identification number, and so when you need to access the exemptions, for example, from customs, because you're bringing in certain products, that makes it easier through a Sikuda. But apart from that, under the legislation, we know where you are and we know how to help you. So you will have the banks, you will have the SSBs, you will have the BTB, tax service. You can ask them information, how do I register? Because that makes it much easier. Now, once you have gone through that, so you have gone through the business modeling, you understand formalization, the next step then is, let us see what you are producing. What's your product? What's your business? And so on the third day, when we have the Business Expo pop-up shop, that's when you bring your products and services out. People can come and talk to you, in fact, purchase what you're producing. But at least now there's a better idea, and then it helps us to capture that data as well, because that's the data that we continue to capture following up on 2022. And this information helps us to understand even more, not only how many are women, how many are men, and because we also talk about the orange, green, and blue economies, how many fit within the orange economy, the blue economy.
Since the first roadshow back in 2022, MSMEs have been able to tap into major opportunities that have led to investments and expansions.
Because you see, the service we provide you through Bell Trade, that's an ongoing thing. In fact, we have a small business development center where you can make contact with the advisors who advise entrepreneurs from all over the country. We also do training, and so we have a training and employment center where we can identify specific training that will help you if you want, when you want to grow. But let us say you reach the point. You heard CEO Garcia mention an ecosystem. Let's just say you reach the point now you're a micro. Means, like maybe one or two, you're producing, your sales are less than 200,000, but then your sales are growing, so you can move to a small. And we don't want you to be afraid. And so it means then that even then, when you want to make that change and go there, we will continue to provide that support to you. And at some point in time, you might want to export. Bell Trade also has an export unit. It also has an investment unit. So all the support combined fall under one institution. And it means that once we have identified you, you become a part of a client of ours. The assistance we provide you will never end, will never stop until you have said, okay, maybe I've grown now, I need less support, I can stand on my 2 feet, but even then, we will still be available.
The Belize Trade and Investment Development Services Roadshow also provides a break for entrepreneurs to formalize their business and in so doing obtain further financial opportunities.
You have, for example, the Atlantic Bank, right, which has a facility, and that's financed through the IDB, Inter-American Development Bank. The DFC also does that. But even through Bell Trade, we work with the CARICOM Development Fund, and we continue to seek projects that will help us to get some funding. As a matter of fact, we have a project that we'll be launching in early August. It's really a repurposed project, because first it was loan and grant, and it was called the Belize Enterprise Revolving Fund. But now we have gotten rid of the loan aspect of it, and so it will be total grants. And so very soon we'll be identifying entities from across the country that can benefit, and we will ask you, of course, for a development plan, because we can help you to support as your growth. But these will be monies that you don't need to repay. But yes, we continue to work with institutions to see that, really interest rates can be lowered. But with the soon establishment of the Credit Bureau and the Credit Registry, where it creates greater confidence for these institutions, it will make it easier, to access this kind of funding that they might need for their growth.
So far, the roadshow is being deemed as a huge success despite some challenges faced, including inclement weather.
Well, it was launched in Orange Walk, and we were fortunate to have the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister was present, and, having the leader of this country, being there and present and giving that encouragement to those MSMEs in Orange Walk. And so we went through the same process, and I must say quite a lot of MSMEs came out on the second day for formalization, and then on the third day, when we did the pop-up shop. So it was a real success. And then the crew took on the road, roadshow, on the road, went to Punta Gorda, and again, too often we hear Punta Gorda is far away, it might be the forgotten district. That's not the case. So there was success there as well. This is our third stop. We have 9 more. And so we keep collecting data, and like I said, when we are all finished, we are going to be analyzing, collecting our data, and sharing our data, because data helps you to make the best decisions on where the support is needed, where you might need some access to finance. How do we work with the commercial institutions to get low interest loans and things like, or grants? See, that helps us, because access to finance is one of those very big things that might help that might keep you back from moving from one point to another in terms of your growth. One thing that is important, whenever you do something, do it to the best of your ability. That you establish an image. Beltrade is known to do things, with the highest standards and the highest quality. And so when we reach out, it makes it easier, and they're more receptive to the work that we do. Again, just as a part of the team. But again, like I said, fitting under the office of the Prime Minister, but because of the fact that we continue to provide service, then it makes it easier when you hear someone from Beltrade saying we're doing something, not tooting the horn, but basically to say that's how it works. So whenever you hear, oh yes, Beltrade is coming, many people already know what Beltrade is and what Beltrade does. And so among us, as staff, we continue to understand that our role is to provide the best service, so that we continue when we reach out, that people are saying, okay, yes, we believe in Beltrade.
Since the inception of the MSME Roadshow in 2022, Beltrade has been able to reach out to numerous entrepreneurs countrywide, opening windows of opportunities in several areas. Cognizant that support to the MSME sector is crucial given the important role they play in creating jobs, strengthening communities, and increasing the contribution to macroeconomic development, Mayor of Corozal Town, Riga Vayos, who addressed the MSMEs today, spoke to us about the importance of having the event in Corozal.
So I believe it's a humongous opportunity for our young people now. Of course, so anyone who have this vision, this goal of wanting to have their own business, this is the opportunity given by the government of Belize here at Corozal Town, and I want to encourage the young people to come and take advantage of this opportunity. It only shows that we have a government that is trying to reach out to the young people, trying to reach out to all the micro, medium and small businesses. It's an opportunity we cannot waste, and I am glad that they're doing it for 3 days, for Thursday, Friday and Saturday. I do see a good amount of people here, which is, training is huge. It's huge because a lot of time we have young people who want to have their own business, but they literally don't know where to start, Or if you do a proposal, it's not a good proposal, and when you take it to bank, you get rejected, So this is huge for these people. Educating someone is always where everything begins, And that way you can ensure that you you fight and you ensure that you end up with the goal that you want to have. You know, a lot of times, young people, all they need is a little push, a little encouragement, you know, a little support. And this is what is happening now. We are giving support to the young people, or to all those people, because you say young and a bit old here, you know, to all those people who want to own their own business or already have an existing business, but they wanted to make it a bit more better. You know, they want to enhance their business. So writing proposals and those things, it's very important for anyone, any business owner, you know. So it gives them an opportunity that they cannot.
Among the participating MSMEs today were a number of women-owned businesses. For the president of the National Women's Commission, Thea Garcia Ramirez, this shows the advocacy for women empowerment is bearing fruits.
The mayor noticed that in these entrepreneurship workshops, this is the boot camp happening today, there's an overwhelming majority of women. And I see no problem with that. I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. It's great that women are taking advantage of opportunities like this to do the boot camp. And tomorrow there's a formalization of your business day, and then the third day is of course the expo. And women's empowerment through financial empowerment and upliftment is key. And so I am so happy that women are taking advantage and are very well involved in entrepreneurship. When it comes to entrepreneurs, that's a driving force of any economy, especially informal businesses. And so what is happening is the government is trying to formalize all these businesses to give them an opportunity for small microloans and grants and all these things, but you have to have some sort of formalization. But by and large, 60% of the informal businesses are women, and that's what powers, if we're talking that entrepreneurship powers the local economy, then I can deduct very easily that it is the women that empower and drive the local economy. So we're very important. I'm glad that the women are here. I'm glad that they're taking part. They're taking advantage of all the wonderful information that Beltrade has for them and all the opportunities to formalize their businesses, to grow. Beltrade says that they'll hold your hand until you let go, so they provide not only initial training but also support to businesses, and you're always a client and you can always reach out to them for help. So I am glad that these opportunities are now coming to Corozal.
While tomorrow MSMEs will take part in a formalization clinic, on Saturday they will have the opportunity to showcase their products to Corozaleños. Mayor Vellos is sure the expo will be well attended.
It's going to be very interesting, actually, to have so many different businesses line up, you know, giving their service, showcasing their products, you know, to the Corozaleños. It's an opportunity where you can come and see what you can afford. You know, it's an expo, so you cannot go wrong. You will have a bit of everything, right? And I'm glad that the business community is also taking advantage of it. I'm glad that it seems like the Corozaleños will come out and support it. It's an opportunity for everyone. Nothing can go.
For the past 4 days, over 100 kids from the community of San Esteban here in the Orange Walk district have been engaged in a football and karate summer camp courtesy of the Orange Walk Central Executive Committee and area representative Prime Minister John Briceño in collaboration with the San Esteban Village Council. After a full week of receiving training, this morning the participants were treated to a very special closing ceremony which saw each participant receiving certificates and also special tokens from the Orange Walk Central PUP executive. Digi was also present during today's closing ceremony as a collaborating sponsor in the summer camp.
This camp started on Monday, the 8th, and it ran for 4 days. And The activities offered was football and karate. The camp was well attended. Every day, they had that enthusiasm, the interest was there. And today it peaked at 127 kids. So today was the final day. They were issued bags with some school supplies in it. Digi was always also here today to issue some of their bags and water cups and stuff like that. So they were also a big part of the sponsorship for this activity today. So we'd like to thank Digi and all the other sponsors who came through to make this camp a success. This is the third year that we have been doing the San Esteban aspect of the Orange Walk Central Summer Camp. And it was one of the best camps that we have held so far. No? The participation was good, the organization was good, and the villagers really, really support this camp. So it was a huge success, and we look forward to doing it again next year.
The third year that the camp is hosted in the community of San Esteban and is expected to continue on a yearly basis.
Okay, it means a lot, and it's very important, not only for the kids who participate, but also for the entire village, because, like I said, the parents are very much engaged in the activities that were held here over the past 4 days, and they see it as something, positive for their village, for their kids, because even before this camp is being held or was held today, San Esteban has a lot of interest in football. They have a football academy in the village. So the kids, when we look at the kids and their level of participation, their skills, it shows that the youths in this village at some point will be very, very good footballers or very good athletes.
The government of Belize has joined in with other Caribbean nations to assist other Caribbean countries which were most affected by the passage of Hurricane Beryl earlier in July. Grenada and St. Vincent and the Grenadines were two of the most affected by that storm, and today Prime Minister John Briceño confirmed that despite Belize's tight economic constraints, monies have been allocated to assist both countries.
There are two of them, Grenada and St. Vincent and Grenadines, and we have approved 50,000 US for each of the countries. I need to make up your face, but we could only give what we could afford. I wish I could give them more, but we have our challenges also.
All right. And there is more news after the break. Stay tuned.
Experience the iconic tournament of Copa America.
Messi puts it in.
Witness each goal of the Euro Cup. And live the excitement of the CONCACAF games.
On target, and it's in. It's in the back of the net. It's a stoppage time.
Available only on Centaur's Express Plus app. Call 380-101 and sign up today. Express Plus app, streaming entertainment.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness today fired off a press release addressing an incident which played out at the Corozal Community Hospital earlier this week between social media personality Joseph Budna and members of the health facility. The release from Health Minister Honorable Kevin Bernard states, and we quote, "It has come to our attention that Mr. Joseph Ryan Budna, who claims to be a self-made journalist, recently engaged in highly inappropriate behavior at the Corozal Community Hospital. Mr. Budna's actions, which included placing a camera in the face of the acting chief of staff and disrupting vital medical services, are deeply concerning and unacceptable," unquote. The situation was captured in a Facebook Live video by Budna, who says he was at the health facility to capture video footage for usage in his social media page. While there, he was approached by security personnel who advised him to leave the premises, citing a breach of patient confidentiality. Budna proceeded to move outside the compound, where he claims an unmarked, unidentified vehicle threatened his life. The police were called to the scene, and following an exchange between security of the hospital along with Budna and police officers inside the hospital compound, the acting chief of staff of the hospital asked Budna to leave the premises once more. Budna, who was still live on his Facebook page, proceeded to point the camera at the face of the acting chief of staff, who asked him to remove the camera. This is when Budna claims the doctor assaulted him. However, that is not shown on video. In their release, the ministry adds that while the ministry acknowledges the valuable role that journalism plays in our society, it is imperative that this role is carried out with integrity, respect, and adherence to professional standards. It goes on to add, quote, "The behavior exhibited by Mr. Budna does not align with these principles. Instead of pursuing factual and respectful journalism, his actions disrupted the essential services provided by our dedicated healthcare professionals and compromised the well-being of patients," end quote. The ministry ends by adding that it will continue to take all necessary steps to ensure the protection of all healthcare staff and the uninterrupted delivery of medical services. An official report has been filed by Joseph Budna, who we understand filed a complaint against the Chief of Staff of the Corozal Community Hospital. On Monday, July 8, 2024, Honorable Christopher Koyi, Minister of State in the Ministry of Finance, Economic Development and Investment, attended a meeting of the Central American Governors of the Inter-American Development Bank, IDB, in Guatemala City on the matter of the American en el Centro Development Program for Central America, Panama, and the Dominican Republic 2024-2030. Recognizing pressing challenges such as low productivity, social disparities, fiscal constraints, and climate vulnerability that impede regional advancement, America en el Centro is a regional initiative that seeks to complement national plans by addressing cross-border development challenges faced by Central America, Panama, and the Dominican Republic that accelerate inclusive sustainable development and enhance economic integration. The initiative prioritizes 3 development pillars, namely productivity and economic integration, climate adaptation and resilience, and development of women and youth, and proposes investment activities in each pillar. At the meeting, Minister Koyi emphasized that developing the road infrastructure between Central America and southeastern Mexico, Yucatan, and Quintana Roo through Jalacte, Belize as a new and alternative logistics corridor provides enhanced, more efficient, and cost-effective market access to southeastern Mexico and to CARICOM. This new route would open tremendous trade and investment opportunities for Belize and for all of Central America. Minister Koyi also expressed Belize's particular interest in becoming a part of the regional electricity transmission grid system. While in Guatemala City, Minister Koyi took the opportunity to meet with the Secretary General of the Central American Economic Integration Secretariat, Mr. Francisco Lima Mena. Their discussions focused primarily on Belize's interest in becoming an observer member of SECA, which will allow Belize to be aware of and participate in regional economic integration efforts, such as the Regional Master Plan 2035 on mobility and logistics. And that's the news. We invite you to join us for another newscast on Friday, July 12th here on Ctv3 and Fiesta FM 106.7. Remember that to read a text version of the news, you can visit our website at ctv3belizenews.com. You can also log on to our Facebook page for current stories at facebook.com/ctv3belizenews or our YouTube channel at Ctv3 News BZ. Remember to wash your hands and remain safe. From all of us here at Ctv3 News, thank you for watching and listening. Good night.